Hello everyone, thank you for watching Edupedia World videos. In this video we'll learn about the SAP system refresh procedure. Okay, so what is a system refresh in SAP? It's also known as a system copy. Okay, so a system refresh is nothing but you have two different SAP systems. They have different SIDs. So you copy the data, the entire database data from one system to another. Okay, it's not only restricted to one client, but you copy the entire database from one system to another. So this is known as system copy or system refresh procedure. Okay, and why this is required? This is required because we have the production data and we have the non-production systems. Okay, so the production system is generally very huge. It has more data compared to the other non-production systems. So especially in the testing systems, the mirror systems, okay, where the testing of the transports, whatever changes you do, is done regressively. In those systems, you will need to have the production data, okay, because if you test on a different data, which is different from that of the production, you might not get good results, okay, because later if you move those changes into the production box where the data is different, so you will not see whatever results you want, you expect. So that's why if you maintain these mirror systems, the quality assurance systems where testing is done, if you maintain those systems with the production data, okay, so the production data is periodically copied into these systems so that your testing will go smoothly. Okay, so you'll test on the same data which is there in the production box. That's why generally the mirror systems are refreshed once in a week or at max once in 15 days, but generally they are refreshed once in a week. Okay, and the other non-production systems like the development or demo, okay, or training systems, okay, so these systems are generally refreshed only on the client requirements, like once in 6 months or whatever it is. Okay, but it's always the mirror systems which are refreshed every week from the production boxes. So the entire data in the database is copied from the production to the mirror systems. Okay, so this procedure, this copy is known as system refresh procedure. Copying of entire database of a different SAP system to a different one is known as a system refresh procedure. Okay, and this process has to be carried out in the mirror systems periodically, like every week it has to be done, so that you have the production data in these mirror boxes and you test that data. Okay, if you test different data which is something else other than the production, so the testing is not correct. Okay, so you have to test it on the same data where you have it, whatever you have it in the production box. So that's why you have to copy this data from the production system to those mirror systems. You have to refresh the mirror systems. Okay, so this is the concept of a system refresh. Okay, and that's why it is done. Okay, so in this video I'll explain you the high level steps of the system refresh procedure, like what all steps have to be done. I will not go into the detail like this transaction what you have to do, but here I'm just mentioning like what are the high level steps, what are the transactions you do, and how the refresh is done. Okay, so we have pre-refresh steps, the actual refresh, and then post-processing. Okay, so this when you say like you are doing a system refresh, first thing is like you have some pre-steps, then the actual database copy, and then post-processing again in SAP. Okay, so it's divided into these three steps. Okay, so now we have understood like what is the concept of SAP system refresh. Okay, and please make a note that it's completely different from the client copy. In a client copy, only one client is copied to another. It can be in the same system or two different systems, but here the entire database is copied from one SAP system to another. Okay, so this is a system refresh and it has three high level steps: pre-processing, the actual database copy, the system copy, and then the post-processing steps. Okay, so I will outline here in this video what are the each step, you know, in this the system copy and the post-processing. Okay, the actual system copy is nothing but the database copy. Okay, you have nothing to do in SAP. You have to copy the data from at OS level. Okay, the first step, preparing for the refresh. So the pre-steps, capture SAP license. Okay, so first, before doing the refresh, okay, you log into the OS level. Okay, and you copy the SAP license from there, because later in post processing we have to install the license again. Okay, so you log on to the OS level, okay, with SID-ADM, and you say like SAP license -get or SAP license -show, and then you take all the details from there. Okay, and make a note of that. Now capture SAP user master records if required. What is this SAP user master record? Whatever client, you know, you want. Okay, so where generally users log in. Okay, so you export all the users of that client. Okay, so it's exported via 3 transports. Okay, and later you have to, in post processing, you have to import back those transports, because when you copy the entire production data into the mirror systems, even the users are copied. Okay, but you don't want all the production users to be active in the non-production system. So that's why, like, what all users are required in the non-production systems, so you have to export those user master records first. So that's why you capture this SAP user master record. So you export them using SCC8. Okay, so SAP _ users is the profile, and 3 transports are created, and later in post processing we import back those transports. Okay, now the third step is make a note of required configurations like RFCs, ports, background jobs, etc. Okay, so you're copying the production data. Okay, but however, certain configurations like the RFCs, the ports, the partner profiles, okay, the jobs, so all these things, the fax nodes, the SMTP, the mail node, so what all the system configuration things are there, you want only the mirror system values even after the refresh. Okay, so the actual tables, the material master data or whatever data is of production, but the configurations should be of mirror only. You don't want the production RFCs in a mirror system. Okay, so some settings might be required. However, those which are not required are to be disabled, and those which are required in the mirror box are to be enabled. So that's why before going ahead with the refresh, so now if you run the SM59 screen, it will be different. So later when you run the SM59 screen after refresh, it will show you that of the production. Okay, so that's why whatever configurations you have before refresh, please make a note of them. Okay, so what all production ones you want, you will keep them, the others you will disable. Okay, and what all the mirror ones should have of its own will have to be enabled. So that's why we say like you make a note of all the required configurations in SM59, SM37, the jobs, the SCOT, okay, SMTP and mail, WE21, okay, the ports, partner profiles, WE20, everything. Okay, so what all you want, please make a note of them. Okay, so preparing for the refreshments, first thing you capture the SAP license. You log into the OS level using SID-ADM and you capture it. Next, you capture the SAP user master records. Okay, so it's done from SCC8. Okay, the user master records are exported at the OS level. 3 transports are created, and later you will import back these transports. And all the other required configuration, system configuration like RFC, partner profiles, ports, jobs, everything have to be, you have to take in a note. Okay, now carrying out the refresh. Now the actual system refresh is carried using various techniques such as restoration from storage tapes, the shadow image, split scripts from a DR system. In this particular video, I'm not going into details about the actual refresh, steps, that is, how the system copy is made, how the database copy is made. Okay, so I'm just covering mostly on the SAP side, okay, the pre-processing and the post-processing. Okay, so the actual refresh steps, okay, like the restoration from the storage tapes or using a different process, whatever it is. Okay, the other type can be shadow image split scripts from the DR system, okay, the disaster recovery system. Okay, so we have different methods of doing the database copy. Okay, so sometimes the whatever the backup, the last production backup is taken, okay, which is stored on the tapes, and restoration is done from the tapes, okay, and recovery is done of the database. Okay, so that is restoration from the storage tapes. Another type of method is the shadow image split scripts from the disaster recovery system. So here the what happens is the copy is made at the OS level. Okay, the file system, say like if we take AIX or Unix, okay, we have different file systems. Okay, so the file systems of the mirror and that of the disaster recovery system. Disaster recovery system is nothing but it's an exact replica of the production system, okay, which is generally kept aside, and whenever some disaster happens of the production system, then this DR system is made as the switch is made. This DR system acts as the primary production system. Okay, so at any point of time the DR system is an exact replica of the production system. Okay, so users don't log on to that, it's just maintained aside. So whenever something happens to the production system, the DR system is made as the actual production system. Okay, so another method is the DR system file systems and the mirror system file systems are just synced. Okay, they are just resynced and split. Okay, so this particular copy is made at the OS level using some Unix or AIX or Linux. Okay, where we have file systems, you can just sync them and split them again, and later again you start up the database and recover it. Okay, so we have different methods like this. We have one more type like stage copy. Okay, so I'm not going into that part of the database copy procedures. Okay, these will be discussed later in different videos. So as of now, carrying out the refreshments, we do the database copy using different procedures like restoration from generally they restore from the tapes. Okay, the last successful backup of the production is taken because production systems are backed up every day. They take the last successful backup of the production system, which is stored onto the different storage devices, generally the tapes. Okay, so those tapes, you get them and data is loaded, okay, restored from the tapes to the mirror database. Okay, and later it is recovered. Okay, so that is about carrying out the refresh. Okay, so we have prepared for the refresh, we have carried out the refresh. Now we have to do some post processing. Okay, now the database of the mirror is same as that of the production. Okay, now same means not point in time, till what generally it's the last successful backup is restored. So till last successful backup, whatever production data is there, that is now existing onto the mirror system. Okay, so now what you do, you start the database of the mirror and then you start the SAP application servers. Okay, so first you start the database and then you start the SAP. Okay, so after starting the database, you have to make sure the listener is running. Okay, then you have to start the SAP OS call. Okay, and then you start the SAP application servers. Like the first you start the central instance or the primary application server, and then you start the additional application servers. Then perform preliminary checks. Okay, now your system is after refresh. Okay, you first log in and you do the important system checks like SIG. Okay, consistency check, SM51, you see all application servers are active. Okay, they all have to be started. Then you see SM21 for any errors in the system log. Okay, you see DB02, okay, the database side, STO6, the operating system things. Okay, SAP OS call has also to be started, needs to be started. Okay, so so these things, this is not SM21 but it is SM13. Okay, like the update should be active and everything, whatever you are willing to check, you have to check them here. Okay, so you do all the preliminary checks after starting SAP. Now the important thing here is Now the entire database of the production is now existing on in the mirror. So everything will be copied, like jobs, RFCs, everything. So you don't, you just want the data, okay, but all the production jobs should not run on the mirror system. So you disable all those jobs, okay. Then you disable or reconfigure the SMTP, okay, the facts, notes, everything, okay. So you do them from SM37 and Scott T codes, okay. So that's what I said. In the pre steps, we have, we need to make a note of all the relevant things, configuration like RFCs, jobs, and everything, ports, okay, all such things, SMTP, facts, all these things, because you just want the production data. But all these configurations like RFCs, jobs, and everything, they need to exist and run only in the production, not in the mirror. Okay, so that's why you have to disable the jobs, and then you have to disable and reconfigure facts, SMTP. All these are very important, okay, because generally if we compare resource wise, the mirror system resources are quite less compared to that of production. So if such, that huge, all the jobs of the production run, and so many RFC calls are made onto the mirror system, it will be a serious problem. That's why we should be very careful. Please disable all the jobs, disable all the production RFCs, okay. Then even the facts notes of the production, and the internet, the mail notes, everything have to be disabled. And what you want in the mirror, only those things have to be enabled. Okay, the next important thing is you change the client details in SCC4. Even the T0 table shows SCC4. Okay, so because after refresh the production values exist, so even in SCC4 you have to update the logical system name, the clients, everything. You have to make sure that of the mirror only exists. Okay, the production values are all deleted. Then you maintain the RFC connections in SM59. Okay, so this is also covered. Then you have to update the profiles in RZ10. Okay, because so you have to go and delete the production profiles and you have to recreate a new one. Okay, and the profiles at the OS level are of mirror only. Okay, but RZ10, because the value is fetched from the tables, it shows the production profiles also. So please go, if you see any production relevant profiles, go and delete them. Okay, and make sure that only the mirror ones are installed. Then you have to reconfigure the operation modes in RZ04. So even this operation modes in RZ04 are also reflecting that of production. So delete all the ones of production and again create new ones for the mirror. Okay, so now until this you have removed all the production profiles, all the production configuration, everything, and now we have only the mirror one. Okay, so freshly we have again recreated all the mirror configuration profiles and etc. So now install the SAP license. Why we postpone to install the SAP license till this point is because once SAP license is installed, all the users can log in, because if users find that the system is up, they tend to log in unknowingly or unknowingly something. Okay, so unless SAP license is installed, all the users, they will not be able to log into the mirror system. Only the substar user can log in. That's why. Okay, so I have not mentioned this point here, but all these steps you do with the SAP star user. Okay, the SAP star user, okay, it's decoded in the kernel, as well as a record exists at the OS level. Okay, when you install any SAP system, default you will have the SAP star user. Okay, even though you don't find a user master record in SU01, because it's decoded in the kernel of the SAP. Okay, so to log into the SAP system without installing the license, you use SAP star user. Okay, for that, from USR02 and USR06, first you delete the SAP star user ID. Okay, so then you delete the user master record. Okay, then you can log into the any SAP system using the SAP Star user ID. Okay, so that's why once the license is installed, all users can log in. Okay, so that's why to prevent the users logging into the system, because all the configuration of the production has to be remote, which is important, you delay in installing the SAP license until this point. So until the actual scenario is until you remove the production configuration, all the profiles, everything, jobs, RFCs, operation modes, everything. Okay, configuration, when I say everything, please don't install SAP license. Okay, that is hard and fast rule in refresh post processing steps. Okay, and the basis administrator who is doing the post processing, okay, he can log on to the system using the SAP Star user ID by deleting the SAP Star user ID in USR02 and USR06 tables. Okay, you delete the user master record in SU01, then you can log in with SAP Star user ID and the default password. Understood? Okay, now you have installed the SAP license. Now to prevent any other person from logging on to the system using the SAP Star user ID, you recreate the user master record again of SAP Star user ID and you set some different password and you lock it. Now nobody else can log into the SAP system with the default SAP Star user ID and the default password. Understood? So once you do this, you have to restart the SAP system to make it effect. Okay, so I'm just repeating the SAP Star user ID concept. The SAP Star user exists in the SAP kernel. Okay, as well as you can create the SAP Star in user ID in SU01. Okay, you create users from SU01. So you create manually in SU01 and the user also exists in the SAP kernel. If you create in SU01, this will override the user in the kernel. Okay, so now I have when you check in SU01, if you find the SAP Star user ID with some password, okay, so you will be able to log on to the SAP system with that SAP Star and the password which you have given in SU01. Okay, so if you lock it there, you will not be able to log on to the SAP system using SAP Star. Now, to do all these 3 steps before installing SAP license, I need some user ID. Okay, now what I will do, I will just unlock. Okay, I will delete completely the SAP Star user ID from SU01 user master records. Okay, in that case, the SAP Star user ID which is there in the SAP kernel and the password, default password, SAP Star and default password, anybody can log in. Okay, so that's why after installing the SAP license, you create the SAP Star and user master records and you lock it. So this will override the user in the kernel. So nobody can log in with the default password. Okay, so that's the concept. Now, after doing this, then you configure TMS, the transport management system. Okay, so you do first in SE06. Okay, the system change settings, and then in STMS. Okay, so because this is a mirror system, generally the development system will be the domain controller. Okay, those terms we have learned earlier. Okay, domain controller. The development box is named as the domain controller, where the configuration is first created and it's distributed to other systems in the landscape. So now here what you do, because the mirror system is refreshed, okay, so first you log into the domain controller and you delete it. Okay, and you distribute the changes. Again, you recreate it in the development system. Okay, and you distribute it. Okay, so freshly you recreate it in the development system and you distribute it to the mirror system again. Okay, so you configure the TMS also, and you have to ensure or start TP process program, RDDIMP TP job in SM37. So the transport job you have to again newly with the high priority. Okay, class A, it will be a class A job. You create it again and you release it. Now you import the user master records back if required. Okay, so you don't want the production users to be in the mirror system. So what you do? So initially from SCC8, whatever with this SAP user profile, we have exported all the users and we have got 3 transports. We will import back all those 3 transports again. So the user master records will be imported back again, and After importing the user master records, you have to do some post processing in SAC 7. Okay, so both you have to do. You have to import the transports and do post processing in SAC 7. Now, an important thing after refreshers to run the logical system remapping job, the BDLS job. Okay, because in all the tables, okay, now instead of say like my mirror system is GPC and my production system is GP0. Okay, production system client is 100. So GP0 100 system and client. The logical system name is GP0 100. Now the mirror system is GPC 100. Okay, so in all the tables, okay, you'll have so many tables which will use this logical system name. Now all those tables will have that of the production GP0 100. It will have the production SID. So you have to replace that production SID with the mirror SID GPC. So that's what this logical system remapping job does. It searches all the tables and it again corrects the production SID with the mirror SID. Okay, so this BDLS job is very important. This has to be executed after you do any system copy. Okay, so this is an important step. Then and you complete the other required configuration like partner profiles, and you do other BW or XI, all those three connections again you establish them. Okay, so in BD64, okay, there also everything. Okay, so that's what the other configurations, the important configurations, you will do it before installing the SAP license. Now the other things like partner profiles, in BD64 or all those things, you do it now. And again the reconnections have to be made to the corresponding say like this mirror system is connecting to some XI, PI, BW system. So you again reinstall, reconfigure all those connections. Okay, so I'm just highlighting the important steps. Okay, you depending upon your project and requirements, you can have more number of steps. Okay, you can have more number of configurations which will need to be done in post processing. Okay, but these are basic for any system copy. Okay, you do the you start database, okay, listener or SAP OS call SAP, you perform the preliminary checks, disable all production configuration and recreate the mirror configuration, install SAP license. Okay, so here you recreate the SAP. Here for doing all this, you will delete the substar from the user master records and you log in with substar and default password, and you do all these steps. So after installing the SAP license, you recreate the substar user master record in SU01, you lock it and you restart the SAP system to make it effect. Okay, then configuring TMS and releasing the TP process are two important steps. Then importing the user master records of the mirror back again. Okay, so that is one more important step. Okay, then BDLS job. Okay, the logical system remapping job. Okay, so the production logical system ID has to be replaced with that of mirror ID in all the tables. So for that you have to run this BDLS job. And the last step is you do the other required configuration. Okay, like partner profiles, BD64, XI, PI, BW connections again. Okay, so this is about the post processing. So in this SAP system refresh or copy procedure, okay, we have three important steps. You carry out the refresh and you do post processing. Okay, so pre-processing, you capture all the mirror configuration, make a note of that, like SAP license, you export the user master records, all such things. Then we do the actual refresh. Okay, please don't worry about this. Later in different videos, I'll explain more about how restoration is carried from the storage tapes, and even to some extent this shadow image split scripts from the DR system also. Okay, so first we learn about this DR system and then I'll explain you about this. Okay, so don't worry. So this is how you copy the database of the mirror. Okay, whatever production database is there, okay, it's either the backup of that you put it on the mirror, or from the DR system of the production you copy the data. Okay, so these are the different techniques to do the system copy. Okay, and the other important step is the post processing. You have so many steps here. These are the important ones which are must after any system copy procedure. Okay, depending upon your project again or business needs, you will have other important configurations also to be done after post processing. Okay, so this is a short video explaining about the system copy procedure. Keep on watching EduPedia World videos. Thank you.